guess he's all right, isn't he?
Daytona 500. The most prestigious event in motorsports racing saw its darkest day on February 18th in the year 2001.
That outside lineup in the wreck-it. Oh, crash!
Dale Earnhardt, who was considered to be one of the finest drivers in NASCAR history,
And here comes Earnhardt to take the lead.
was no more. The beginning of the Intimidator. Dale Earnhardt became the Intimidator and a famous figure in NASCAR because of his aggressive racing and major sports achievements. His career includes several racing successes that have left a massive mark in motorsport racing. Dale Earnhardt was born in Kannapolis, North Carolina, on April 29, 1951. Racing ran in the blood of his family members since early childhood. Ralph Earnhardt earned recognition as a short-track driver before Dale was born. His dedication to racing continued to shine, even though his father doubted his racing ability would lead to success. Ninth grade marked his exit from school when he started pursuing his racing dream by taking on multiple jobs to finance his youth racing adventure. The NASCAR Winston Cup Series welcomed Earnhardt to its platform through his racing debut at the World 600 race in Charlotte in 1975. His career took off in 1979 when he also won the Rookie of the Year award. The following year, after winning his first championship, he became the first driver to win both honors in one row. The bold way Earnhardt handled his racing vehicle earned him the casino titles The Intimidator and Ironhead. His aggressive driving style and his daring attitude transformed him into an unbeatable champion who wowed NASCAR fanatics. The 27-year-long NASCAR Cup Series career of Dale Earnhardt included 676 races, which he won 76 times and established a 7-championship tie with Richard Petty and Jimmy Johnson. Earnhardt won his most significant victory at the Daytona 500 in 1998 after trying 19 times. The victory became memorable since he received a lucky penny from Wessa Miller, a Make-A-Wish Foundation child, at 6. Earnhardt placed the penny onto his dashboard, after which he credited his victory to the charm of good luck. Earnhardt died tragically in the year 2008. Dale dedicated himself to his family life after achieving his racing victories. Dale Earnhardt Jr. and 3 other children came from Dale's marriage, and Dale Jr. has had a successful racing career like his father. Dale Earnhardt's legacy remains alive because of his family members who participate in racing, while his impact on the sport remains. The impact Dale Earnhardt had on NASCAR cannot be measured. As a result of his competitive spirit and charismatic personality traits, NASCAR gained substantial popularity. During its 29th ceremony, the NASCAR Hall of Fame officially inducted him as one of the most distinguished racing drivers. But what is it that set Dale Earnhardt apart from the rest of the competition? What set Earnhardt apart? Earnhardt never needed the fastest car on the track. Dale Earnhardt could turn a mid-pack machine into a race winner with little more than instinct, grit, and razor-sharp awareness. His edge came from how well he read the field. While others focused on clean racing lines and tire strategies, Earnhardt saw openings others missed. He moved like he already knew what the drivers ahead were about to do. That gave him time. And in racing, time was everything. The number of drivers who could make the same move as Earnhardt was small. He drove with purpose but never wasted a second. On stops or within traffic, Earnhardt created space where there was none. He did not wait for opportunities. He made them. And the drivers around him knew that. His presence alone changed the way others raced. Even without making contact, he wore people down. Laps turned into pressure tests, and more often than not, they cracked before he did. Behind the scenes, Earnhardt brought the same intensity. His understanding of how his car responded to track conditions let his crew fine-tune setups quickly. If a tire was off by a fraction of the balance shifted in turn, he felt it. And he said so with clarity. He did not just drive, he helped build the adjustments that won races. The team behind him trusted his feedback because it was always sharp and to the point. But it wasn't just skill and feedback that made him great. He outworked people. He spent hours getting to know each track's surface, the places where grip faded or where rubber built up just enough to make a difference. He watched the weather. He listened to engines. He noticed the most minor signs that told him how the race was changing. Others waited for their spot. Earnhardt adjusted lap by lap. His best moments came when things got ugly. Suppose the car was off. If the field was tight, if the leaders had fresher tires, that didn't matter. It never stopped Earnhardt's tricks. After taking his time, he would strike when the time was right. He thrived on short tracks, dirt ovals, and road courses. That adaptability kept him in the fight even when everything seemed slipping. And when the end of a race came near, Earnhardt's instincts took over. His timing in those last laps was almost automatic. He knew how to line up a pass without warning, when to back off for half a lap to set up a better charge, or when to lean just enough to let someone know he was not going away. He did not rush. He waited, measured, and struck with purpose. Dale Earnhardt was more than just quick in a straight line. He saw the race from above, like a puzzle unfolding in real time. And as everyone else focused on solving one corner, he was already planning 3 moves. That's what separated him. That's why no one raced quite like him. However, there wasn't a shortage of competition, and Darrell Waltrip came in and proved that firsthand. In comes Darrell Waltrip. During his driving career, Darrell Waltrip refused to let anyone forget his presence on the NASCAR tracks. When NASCAR witnessed his first appearance, they encountered a combination of keen leadership and rigorous precision alongside Waltrip's vibrant character. Waltrip was born on the 5th of February in the year 1947 in Owensboro, Kentucky. From his earliest days, he showed interest in cars and racing until racing evolved past the level of being a simple pastime. During his teenage years, Waltrip started by racing go-karts, leading him to different races while observing veteran drivers to improve his driving. Waltrip had larger ambitions compared to those who aimed to race locally. The driver observed competitors and recorded tape while he took written notes to boost his skills. In addition to driving, he dedicated effort to improving his presentation. Waltrip established himself as a driver who secured race victories during his 20s while racing throughout Southern Fairgrounds events. He refused to keep his thoughts to himself in a manner unlike other competitors. Waltrip possessed strong opinions, which he freely expressed during his media interviews. The driver presented himself as knowledgeable and eloquent while expressing his reservations over conventional standards. His outspokenness during interviews attracted both strong love and hate reactions from the media at the early phase of his career. Audiences either supported him strongly or became opponents. Nevertheless, they had to acknowledge his presence. Through his numerous public appearances, he managed to get notice from possible sponsors and owners. This helped in creating opportunities at the highest level. Waltrip decided to seize the limelight at the national level while refusing to approach it with hesitation. During a time when most newcomers were fighting for rides, Waltrip used his boldness and raw skill to secure his position in the sport. The quality that set him apart from others became evident to everyone around him. Waltrip's path into NASCAR was not handed to him. He clawed his way in. When he debuted in the early 1970s, the sport was still dominated by older names like Richard Petty and David Pearson. Waltrip did not wait for the field to clear. He pushed his way into conversations by making the most of every race he entered. His early years were filled with part-time rides and underfunded teams, but he refused to be overlooked. At 1975, he finally earned a full-time spot. That year marked a turning point. He started showing flashes of what would become a hallmark of his career: consistency under pressure. As the seasons passed, he joined Dyard Racing and began stringing together top finishes. He won his first NASCAR Cup Series race in 1975 at Nashville Speedway, a track he knew well from his early days. His climb continued, and by the late 70s, he was challenging the sport's legends on speed and racecraft. He did not just drive fast, he understood how to win. That understanding earned him a spot with Junior Johnson's Powerhouse team in 1981. From that point on, Waltrip became a fixture at the front. His pairing with Johnson led to immediate success. He captured 3 championships in 5 years. These were in the years 1981, 1982, and 1985. These wins marked him as one of the best drivers of the era. But it wasn't just his trophies that drew attention. It was how he won. He calculated races lap by lap. He understood fuel strategy, tire wear, and draft positioning at a level few others could match. He didn't need to dominate the whole day. He just needed to be there at the end, ready to strike. And yet, Waltrip never softened his edges. He remained outspoken, often sparring with fellow drivers in the media, pushing boundaries, and challenging conventions. He knew that talent wasn't enough to build a legacy. You needed presence. Waltrip had both. As Waltrip's career advanced into the late 1980s and early 90s, he began to evolve. He started his team and became a driver and owner. That transition came with new challenges. Managing both the business and the driving meant his focus was split. The wins came a little slower, but his knowledge of the sport deepened. Even when he was not taking checkered flags as often, he remained respected as one of the sharpest minds on the track. He took pride in mentoring younger drivers and offering insight to those just beginning their journeys. His understanding of the sport's mechanics and his decades of racing experience made him a natural leader even during the twilight of his career. One of the most defining moments came in 1989 at the Daytona 500. After 17 attempts, he finally won the sport's biggest race. That victory silenced critics who had doubted whether he could conquer the superspeedway. The win was emotional, long-awaited, and well-earned. It stood as a reminder of his persistence and refusal to back down. As newer faces began to emerge in NASCAR, Waltrip adjusted once again. He continued racing until the 2000 season before retiring from the driver's seat. But his voice did not fade. He moved into broadcasting, where he brought the same enthusiasm and depth that defined his racing career. His boogity boogity boogity, let's go racing boys calls were loved by fans every single time. He used his platform to explain complex strategies in simple terms, helping casual fans understand what made the sport tick. His experience on the track allowed him to offer rare insight during live coverage, something few broadcasters could match. But amidst all the fun Waltrip had while commentating on races, there was one race he still wishes he wasn't calling. The horrendous crash. During the final stage of the Daytona 500 on February 18th, 2001, it was a dark day in the history of motorsports racing. Dale Earnhardt experienced a crash moving at speeds ranging from 157 to 161 miles per hour. This was because a collision with another vehicle sent his car into the concrete wall. The crash occurred at an approximately 55 to 59 degree angle and produced 80 milliseconds of quick deceleration. Earnhardt's abrupt stop subjected his body to forces duplicating those experienced from dropping more than 60 feet. A basilar skull fracture served as the primary cause of him losing his life because violent forward motion of the head during sudden deceleration tends to produce such an injury. The left lap belt of Earnhardt's seat harness broke when he crashed. Additional investigation proved that the faulty seatbelt did not directly contribute to Earnhardt's passing. The analysis confirmed that the absence of a head and neck restraint system led to fatal head injuries because it would have stopped excessive forward head movement. NASCAR did not require head and neck restraint equipment, including HANS devices, during the period of the accident. Earnhardt did not utilize either equipment that could have offered enhanced safety to his head during the crash. The HANS device restricts helmet forward motion by connecting it to shoulder anchors, which minimizes skull fractures during crashes. Following Earnhardt's passing, NASCAR implemented several safety measures to prevent similar tragedies. Ever since then, safety devices have been mandatory in the sport. Additionally, tracks began installing safer or steel and foam energy reduction barriers designed to absorb and reduce the force of impacts. NASCAR also introduced the Car of Tomorrow, a vehicle with enhanced safety features, including improved driver compartment protection and energy-absorbing materials. These changes have significantly improved driver safety in NASCAR. Since the implementation of these measures, there have been no fatalities in NASCAR's top 3 series. The advancements prompted by Earnhardt's accident have enhanced safety in NASCAR and influenced safety protocols in other motorsports disciplines. Several documentaries and short films have been made on the crash, in which Waltrip has let his thoughts known. Waltrip on the crash. The uncharacteristic observance occurred on February 18th, 2000, when Darrell Waltrip watched his brother, Michael Waltrip, claim his debut NASCAR Winston Cup victory at the Daytona 500. The broadcast audience heard Darrell emit emotions of joy as Michael Waltrip secured his first NASCAR Winston Cup victory after finishing the race. However, the celebration was short-lived. At that moment, Dale Earnhardt's car hit the wall just before the race's final stretch. Darrell recognized the severity of what had just occurred and went silent. During his time as a driver, Waltrip had established a heated rivalry with Earnhardt, but after he retired, the two became good friends in the NASCAR circuit. The ambulance moving slowly from the accident site seemed to serve as concrete evidence for his suspicions. Waltrip immediately knew that Dale couldn't survive. The accident played out in the last corner of the competition. A different vehicle's contact with Earnhardt's car forced it to crash into the concrete wall at excessive speed. The impact speed and angle created a fatal fracture to Earnhardt's skull that was similar to those that made other drivers lose their lives in the sport before. Many theories about what caused the crash appeared following the event. Rumors suggested that Earnhardt blocked other racing vehicles so his team could maintain their position, resulting in the crash. According to Darrell Waltrip, all claims were false about Earnhardt blocking other competitors because they held a pact he would race for the victory if the win remained possible in the last stages of the competition. The top 3 NASCAR series operate under improved safety procedures, leading to 0 driver fatalities since Dale Earnhardt passed away. Darrell Waltrip's reflections on that day are filled with sorrow and loss. He has often expressed that his brother's victory is overshadowed by the tragedy that unfolded. The events of February 18, 2001 remain a poignant reminder of the risks inherent in motorsports and the importance of continual advancements in safety. With the impact he left on the sport, Earnhardt's legacy is a monumental one. Earnhardt's legacy. Even before his final race, Dale Earnhardt had already become a lasting symbol of American motorsports. And in a twist that seems almost fated, a part of the Daytona International Speedway was named in his honor just a month before his final ride there. Earnhardt Tower, a grand seating section, was much more than just a tribute. It was a testament to the legacy the Intimidator had left behind. However, the memorials didn't stop at Daytona. Earnhardt's name is etched into the landscape of his hometown of Kannapolis, North Carolina. There's Dale Earnhardt Boulevard, a stretch of road that used to be called Earnhardt Road, sitting just off Interstate 85 at exit number 60. That's not all. There's Dale Earnhardt Drive 2, the start of what's known as the Dale Journey Trail. It is a self-guided road tour that winds through places central to his life and legacy. In a move that showed how deep his impact ran, the North Carolina Department of Transportation reassigned highway numbers, switching a road between Kannapolis and Mooresville from NC 136 to NC 3. That number wasn't chosen randomly because number 3 was Earnhardt's car number. Over in Texas, at the entrance to Texas Motor Speedway, you'll find Dale Earnhardt Way off exit number 72 on Interstate 35 West. It wasn't just roads and stadium seats that bore his name. In the world of motorsports, Dale's memory powered inspiration across continents. In Japan's racing scene between 2004 and 5, Hasemi Sport took to the Super GT series with a black Nissan 350Z that featured the same number and lettering that Earnhardt was famous for. His style and spirit had crossed oceans. On Dale Earnhardt Day 2006, also his birthday, the black paint was brought back for the car. At Talladega Superspeedway, Dale Earnhardt Incorporated rolled out cars in his iconic all-black design. That weekend, Martin Truex Jr. drove one of them straight into victory lane in the Aaron's number 312 race. The design mirrored Earnhardt's intimidating Busch Series look. In the Nextel Cup race, Dale Earnhardt Jr., Truex Jr., and Paul Menard raced with matching schemes 2 days later, the black paint echoing across the track. Just weeks later, Earnhardt Jr. pulled off another tribute at the 3M Performance 400 in Michigan. He drove a special car styled after his grandfather, Ralph Earnhardt's 1956 dirt racers. It even had vintage Budweiser logos to match. The race ended quicker than expected because of rain. In it, Earnhardt Jr. came in third. The Earnhardt name continued to leave a mark off the track too. In the summer of 2007, Dale Earnhardt Incorporated, working with the Dale Earnhardt Foundation, set up an undergraduate scholarship at Clemson University. The first recipient, William Bostic, was a mechanical engineering student and even got the chance to intern with DEI. That's how the Earnhardt name helped shape the future of racing from the classroom to the garage. In 2008, Daytona International Speedway celebrated the 50th anniversary of the first ever Daytona 500. Dale's unforgettable 1998 wins were honored with a throwback ride. DEY and Richard Childress Racing collaborated to create a modern car with the exact paint scheme from that victory. The number 3 car was displayed during a special lineup of former Daytona winners. And just like retro jerseys in other sports, this tribute made waves with fans and collectors alike. The car was eventually released as die-cast models in 1/64 and 1/24 scales. But it wasn't only the racetrack that honored the legacy. In 2010, 2 roller coasters were launched in his name. Intimidator 305 opened at Kings Dominion in Virginia, with trains styled after his red and black Chevrolet. That same year, Carowinds in North Carolina launched their own Intimidator, again complete with Earnhardt artwork and signage. While the branding was removed in 24 hours due to licensing agreements, fans rode those coasters for years as a high-speed salute to the man they idolized. Earnhardt's memory also found its way into Major League Baseball. Ned Yost, a former Atlanta Braves coach and longtime friend of Earnhardt, changed his jersey number when he became manager of the Milwaukee Brewers. Since the Braves had already retired number 3 for Dale Murphy, Yost had been unable to make the change while coaching in Atlanta. Later, when he joined the Kansas City Royals, he wore number 2, but by the 2011 seasons, he'd finally switched to number 3. Even on the baseball diamond, the Intimidator's shadow loomed large. A hush fell over the crowd on the third lap of the 2011 Daytona 500. It was exactly 10 years since Earnhardt's final race, and as the cars circled the track, fans across the stands raised 3 fingers in unison. Fox's commentators remained silent during the moment, a subtle but powerful tribute. The same scene repeated in 2021, 2 decades after his passing. Time hadn't dimmed the admiration. One of the most meaningful pieces of memorabilia from his career, his helmet from the 1998 seasons, now rests in the Smithsonian's National Museum of American History. It's there alongside some of the most significant artifacts of American culture. That helmet didn't just represent safety gear, it stood for a way of life, and Earnhardt's legacy wasn't just limited to sports. Impact beyond sports. Earnhardt's reach went beyond sports. In 2003, a North Carolina metal band called Weed Eater paid tribute with a song titled Number 3 on their album 16 Tons. The track included TV clips discussing Earnhardt and creating a sonic time capsule. In 2001, singer-songwriter John Hyatt mentioned Earnhardt in his song The Tiki Bar is Open, slipping his legacy into American songwriting. Then came February 28, 2016. Jimmy Johnson had just won the Folds of Honor Quick Trip 500 at Atlanta Motor Speedway, marking his 76th Cup Series win, tying him with Earnhardt. During his victory lap, Johnson reached his arm out the window and raised 3 fingers. The gesture didn't need explaining. That same Atlanta track was where Earnhardt had secured his 6th Winston Cup Series championship. It was a full-circle tribute that didn't need words. On October 2021, just ahead of the United States Grand Prix, Formula One star Daniel Ricciardo took things further. A lifelong Earnhardt fan, Ricciardo got behind the wheel of the number 3 Wrangler car from 1984. The opportunity came thanks to McLaren CEO Zak Brown, who had promised Ricciardo he could drive the car if he won a Grand Prix. Ricciardo won in Monza, and Brown kept his word. That iconic blue and yellow car took to the track once more, powered not by its engine alone, but by a deep admiration from one driver to another. And as if all of that weren't enough, Earnhardt even has a star named after him. Registered with the International Star Registry, it's called Dale Earnhardt Sr. and sits in the Aquila constellation. Its coordinates, RA 19 hours, 1 minute, 36.36 seconds, D 16 degrees, 34 minutes, 25 seconds, are now a permanent cosmic tribute to a man who reached as far as any racer ever has. Dale Earnhardt's legacy isn't something trapped in the past. It lives on, in asphalt and metal, trophies and helmets, roller coasters and race cars, scholarships and street signs. It pulses through every fan who raises 3 fingers during a race. It rolls on every track where number 3 once thundered past the finish line, and in every gesture of tribute, from NASCAR to Formula One, from baseball to music, Earnhardt continues to ride, not just in memory, but in motion. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you in the next one.